Hey, Theater Philadelphia fam. My name is Sabria Shipley. I am Executive Director of Theater Philadelphia, and I am back with yet another fabulous episode of the Philly Theater Week podcast series in honor of our 8th annual Philly Theater Week. And I'm here with some phenomenal students, cast, crew, working on Eastern University Theater Department's A Year with Frog and Toad. Right? That's exciting. Yes, clap for that. You know what I'm saying? Clap for the stories we telling out here, okay? And what's really dope is that I have trucked all the way from West Philly to Eastern University, even parked way off where I'm supposed to be on campus, to walk up to this theater department, right? But it's really great to be here with another intersection of representation in Philly Theater Week, which is our university students who are the next generation of theater professionals in the Philly theater scene. And so what we're going to do is start off by everyone introducing yourselves, right? You can say, your name, pronouns, also, what do you do, right? Your major, look out for me, I'm coming for you, right? And then we'll get into talking about more about A Year with Frog and Toad, but also about your journey, right? As undergrad theater students, because that's a whole different ball game, right? Even if your major is not in theater, choosing to be involved in university theater is a choice, right? A deep choice. So let's start off, go around, and then we can get started with general questions.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Goonewardene. I am a senior here at Eastern University. I'm the assistant director for Frog and Toad.
Period.
And yeah, I currently am employed at Hedgerow Theater. I work in the box office.
Shout out to Hedgerow.
Shout out to Hedgerow Theater. And I've also done some short film acting as well.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bailey Gutelius. I am a junior psych major here at Eastern University, but I've been involved with the theater department for a while. I started with a lot of hair and makeup, and then my sophomore year decided to get involved as an actress, and I have been in the shows ever since, and I love it.
Period. We love to see it. Love to see it.
My name is Daniel Carter. I'm a sophomore theater major here at Eastern University. Last year was my first year involved in the theater department. I was able to perform on stilts for the first time last semester, which was also very cool. And since then, I've just been involved in the theater department. So.
Yeah, cool.
Hello, my name is Amarie Dickerson. I am a junior theater major, and I am the stage manager for Frog and Toad. This is my first production of being backstage rather than on stage. Also, shout out to APL Alpha Psi Omega. I am the president of that
Period. You better shout out. Listen, they gonna get you. They gonna listen.
I'm Richie Izzo. I'm a music composition major. I've done theater the whole time I've been here. I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
But she said, listen, point blank period, it's theater. That's the choice that we're making. Listen. So what I like to start off all the podcast discussions is, where do we find you as an artist right now, right? Do you feel like you are an artist or an actor? Or do you feel like you are still actively learning? You're still in school, but do you feel like you're kind of getting a grasp of yourself as an artist? Anyone can answer. Yeah.
I'll go. So where I feel like I am as an artist is this beautiful mesh between just being a student while also engaging in what I love. I'm the art club president here at Eastern University, so I'm already out doing a lot of things physically. But what I really love specifically about being an artist here at Eastern University is the hustle and bustle. I love being able to have a full day of classes that don't even pertain to theater, and then the second I walk through that door, I have that space to completely be myself, and I'm staying up late making giant, big, life-size cookies in my room until 3 a.m. It's such a great difference going from sitting down, being in class.
Take commissions?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I love the intersection between being a student and learning and committing to that while also committing to who I am as an artist.
Yes, listen, because I wish I had, give me some of that energy. Like, let's transfer, because there is a certain energy that comes with being a university student and being in the arts, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, you do most of your work while you're in classes. It's like, no.
Mm-mm.
I have
all
to go.
outside.
I have rehearsal after this.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And, you don't know how studio time, late night rehearsals. I used to, when I was at Temple, I worked 3 jobs, and I was still doing rehearsals. So I'd be running from the studio center, I'm like, I got to go.
Yep.
I'll be back for my night shift. I got, in between.
Exactly.
So that energy, but also, what I love is you talk about this notion of the student hustle and bustle that I think never really leaves you.
Yeah.
As a theater person, you graduate and you also have this kind of notion of like, I can do that. I can.
Exactly.
At one point, what I'm saying, I was painting sets and hanging lights. You know what I'm saying? And it's one thing I think is really valuable about studying theater, all around theater, a well-rounded education about theater. Anyone else? So how you feel as an artist?
I feel like that even in my path, when being an artist and a student, I'm always navigating the 2 paths. And even when I find myself at low points or like needing a little pick-me-up, like theater has always been a pick-me-up for me and always been my motivation. And I'm still learning all aspects of theater. Last semester, I was stage manager. This semester, I'm back on stage, and then hopefully next semester, I'll be like directing or writing a play or a musical. Just knowing all aspects and constantly being in the creative field to keep my mind going. So.
Period. We love it. Let me tell you, multi-hyphen. Be my multi-hyphen. You know what I'm saying? Be a multi-hyphen.
Yeah.
Keeps you employed, but also keeps you learning.
Yeah.
Keeps you learning. I love that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I feel like echoing off of some of that, like learning, it's something that even beyond being a student, it never stops. Like, I was saying the other day to someone, I've been here for 4 years, and the biggest thing I've learned is that I have so much yet to learn in everything that I do. So I think going past leaving college, being like that decision of who you're going to learn from is so important, and taking your time with who you're going to be mentored by, who are you going to be investing in, and who's going to invest in you in the same way to form who you are as a creative person is just so important. Yeah,
knowing mentor. Child, I'm 29 and I still have to call my mentors like, I don't know if this is a decision. Should I do this? Should I plan this? And my mentors have mentors, but that notion of like, we're going to continue learning, right? But who do you want to learn from? And also what kind of mentor you're going to be years from now, right? Depends on who you choose as your mentor, right? I love that. Anyone else? Before we go to the next question. I ain't looking. Amarie, I'm gonna look this way. You just sit there so suave, like you just said.
Kind of going off of Ethan, I think my biggest question, especially like now that I have like another year left, but I'm still like, what's next? What do I see myself doing after I graduate? What will I do to get me to where I am when I'm ready to graduate? Yeah. So I think as an artist, it's definitely hard. Financially, and I always see people like, I've always auditioned for this and I didn't get this, and like I built my profile to this many years that now it's finally this is where I am. And I think that's like, overall it's hard as an artist, but it's like the biggest question I have in my mind is like, what's next? Like, what do I see myself doing in this many years, and what's my goal overall?
Yeah, because it's a hard question. I always joke that like if someone had told me when I was graduating that I would be the executive director of Theater Philadelphia one day, I'd have laughed and been like, heck no, let's not do that. Sabria, I'm going to be an actor. What do you mean full time? And I've done it. I've been an actor, but I've also been a multitude of things I never thought I would be. So I always say like, the what's next question is great as long as you don't put the weight on it, right? Because that what's next will have you questioning where you are, your present, right? Because once you live in that present, you're like, oh, I have these tools. Let me move forward as I navigate what's next. But I ain't going to say it's not hard. I still ask what's next. What's happening, you know? But it's also a sign when you continue to ask what's next, it's a sign that you are still learning, that you're still open to being a student in life, period. But I like that. I like that. Yeah. Richie, what you got? It's like, hold that.
No, I mean, I kind of feel the same way about, like, what's next. That's been, like, the question, I feel like, the whole 4 years. It's just like, what am I going to do? What is all of this add up to? I don't know which road to go down of all of this. And I kind of feel like I'm starting to dial in and be like, I know what I want to do, which is also a little frightening because now I'm like, oh, I want to keep learning all of those things, though. So it's, sort of interesting.
Speaking of mentors, I'll say when you ask the question, what's next, one of the major things that a mentor always told me, and it's like a little segue into a year with Frog and Toad, is the notion of a farm. My senior year, I will never forget, I had auditioned for all of the major grad schools, got callbacks, got waitlisted, all those things. Meanwhile, at the same time, I was writing my own choreo poem for French. That's a whole other thing. And my thesis, right? Doing a lot, you know? And was like, what's next? I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. I was in my mentor's office. And she was like, drink some water. Go to work. We'll talk about this tomorrow. And she, was like, okay, cool. Next thing I know, homegirl talked me up for an apprenticeship and was like, you need to send them your resume, your headshot, and a cover letter tomorrow morning. Now, mind you ask what's next. It's the preparation, right? Because I already had those things and a website made. But I was like, somebody gonna hire I'm somebody, right? And was able to send that first thing in the morning. She said to me, not everyone waters their garden or their farm the way they need to, just in case. So your farm, you talk about this is the direction, right? There are going to be plots in your farm that you are tending to right now. You're watering, you're waiting for them to bloom. You're like, I'm getting the internship, I'm getting that apprenticeship, all those things. And there's a fear that some parts of your plot is going to dry up and you're going to lose them in the soil. And you're like, oh my God, and my farm is dying. It's not. You can always come back to these different plots of the farm and refertilize. As long as you know the core of why you made the farm in the first place. What's the name of the farm, right? Is the name of the farm your community work? Is the name of the farm that you always want to be an artist that does this way? Then you water it around, right? And you spread out. You plant some seeds. So keep that in mind, right? And when I think of a year with Frog and Toad, which I love the notion of when university students do children's performances. One, because it is the most beautiful moment for you to play. I can't stand the actor that can't play. Okay? And sometimes we get grown as actors and we don't play no more. Like, we're like, what? You want me to play? And sometimes your training in universities is like, we do classical training. We do serious pieces here. It's like, no, sometimes you got to play around a little bit, right? To know you still got it, right, on stage. And, that also is a tool to tap into in your future of employment, right? Because you can play some kids write some wild things, y'all. You're like, okay, cool, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be this fraud right now. You believe me, don't you? So tell me more about your first reaction or thoughts when somebody was like, yay, we're doing a year with the Frog and Toad, and it's a part of Philly Theater Week. Was your reaction like, why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or was it like, oh, heck yeah, we do a year of Frog and Toad. I'm playing the Toad. That's my right. Rich, that was your response? You said, I'm playing the Toad.
No.
What was your response?
I said, why? Or why? No, I don't think that's... I don't know. I just didn't see it as something that was, like, pertained to a college theater department. But, I mean, it's exactly what you said, being on the stage and being able to just, like, play and have fun and not think too deeply about, like, what is Toad thinking right now? But, really, and just have fun and be silly. And, it's great. I like it now that we're in it.
Listen, I'm telling you, there are people, the Arden, when they do the theater shows, they be thinking about what is this person thinking right now, but I get to play for the whole audience. But I would have had the same reaction. There was one time I think Temple was doing some show tune, like we do Golden Age musicals at Temple. It was like a fight. We was like, if I do another Golden Age musical, I'm gonna scream. And I remember then they were like, Sabrina, you want just sing, And I was like, I tried. You know what I'm saying? That was like, this is cute. I can play with this. But at the same time being like, this is a choice that I'm making right now. I'm making you to go on this journey with y'all. Any other like insights, like when you first heard, A Year of Frog and Toad, what that look like? You sis directing over here, was you like, why? What is that?
Yeah, initially I was like, why? And like doing the work of getting into the script and reading it, it's so perfect for this moment. I think like sort of going off of that idea of just play, to get a little intellectual for a second and be like, there is a deeper message here. Like it's a story of friendship, and I think like for our generation especially, specifically males, I mean male loneliness is like widespread right now, and I think like there's so many of these scenes that I would read and I watch them performed, and it's so moving to be like, here are two friends, they touch each other, they hug each other, they're physically close to one another, they share how they're feeling, how they're vulnerable with each other, and it's never in a jokey way, it's never in a sensitive way where we as men have to go, you're my friend, but I have to keep you at arm's length, right? So you're not too close. And they have they have arguments, back and forth, fights, because they're so close. So I think that throughout the whole show, I think especially for men watching the show, it's so relevant right now for where we are and where we need to go as far as connecting.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's a great testament to also younger boys who will come see the show and be like, I like that they hug and they, they're being, close and intimate in friendship. You know what I'm saying? For young girls to be like, of course they are. You have to talk to them. What do you mean? Yeah. Right? But like to parallel this notion of like doing youth theater, there's this notion that like, oh, it's going to teach us a lesson, right? But sometimes adults be like, but I've already learned that lesson. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like we need childhood stories sometimes to reflect our inner child, right? Any other like thoughts of like, oh, A Year of Frog and Toad, what's your initial reaction? Was you like, I'm auditioning today?
Yeah, like, that was definitely me. I was very excited. The thing that I was looking forward to about this show the most is this felt like the first time for me, instead of stepping into a character, I'm stepping into an audience mindset. I really love that this show is geared for not just children, but childlike wonder, childlike curiosity and fun and play. And I want to be able to take the children that are already in the audience, but also the parents, the teachers, someone who just got off from a really bad day or a really bad month or even a bad year, and can sit down and just revert back to that time where things are colorful, things are fun. And especially for college students, this COVID happened almost exactly 5 years ago from today. Wow. Like, again, like what Ethan said, it's good to watch people hugging on stage and laughing, and like what we have to wear on stage is like ridiculous for half of the time, and like I'll turn to Daniel and be like, my professor's gonna see me in like a bathing suit and flippers, and that's all right. I know. But yeah, I really love that we're catering towards an audience and also just that mentality.
Yeah, you talk more about this catering to audiences. Y'all doing a relaxed performance, right? And relaxed performances have become, in the most recent years, more normalized, right? When they first started, everyone was like, what is this? I love them. I think they are necessity for every production run to have like a relaxed performance aspect, or, a couple of shows that are relaxed performance. Were you nervous about the notion of relaxed performance? And to clarify, relaxed performances are opportunity for the show to happen and run, but there are adjustments to lighting, to sound, that make it conducive to those who may have aversions to light and sound, or may need certain accessibility needs to sit down and enjoy a show, or not sit down and enjoy a show, and be able to roam around and be like, yo, I'm gonna sit next to Frog, right? I need, what are some of the things that the learning experience of it? Is this your first time hearing about relaxed performances, or even preparing yourself as an actor, as a crew, whatever, for relaxed performance?
So I can speak just really briefly to this. I'm Valerie Flower. I'm the chair and the producer for the show, but lead the theater BA in theater here at Eastern. And this is our first time doing a relaxed performance. Although we've had people who are working on the show who have been a part of that new tradition. And so for our students and this community, we have a number of students who are autistic, who respond to all of our performances very differently, and they're always welcome at any performance at any time. So our audiences are somewhat used to different responses, where audible responses might happen, or someone might get up in the middle of the performance and leave and come back. That happens. But this is an opportunity for everybody to feel as though, okay, the house lights are up a little bit, it's a little safer to come and go as you need to. And I think for parents and guardians, particularly of children who are autistic or might respond differently to the show, there's like a general sense of, like, you don't need to shush anybody. You don't need to feel like you can't sit back and enjoy having the folks you're with and the people you love respond as they feel led to respond. So this for our students is new, is different, but at the same time, we've been doing it, we just haven't fully announced it. So the melodrama of the thunder is going to be tapered back a little bit. It's not going to be quite so much. There's not a lot of scary, big, there's no helicopters landing on our stage for this show. So we don't have to modify a lot. But just those little tweaks will hopefully make it more enjoyable for everybody. So yeah, so how are you all feeling about entering that on Sunday the 6th, the matinee is the relaxed performance?
I feel very confident even doing a relaxed performance, because like I work with special needs students, and like I always know how they react to certain things. And even like when I was performing on stage in January for a performance, we had a student with special needs in the crowd who was being very vocal with their responses. So it's nice to start incorporating that stuff and incorporating that diversity and allowing people to feel included, even kids that have special needs, because sometimes they don't feel welcome in certain spaces like that. So it's very, very good. So
I love that. Having that perspective also makes theater more accessible in the way that it's supposed to be, right? The storytelling is supposed to be accessible to whoever is ready, needs to hear that story, right? And so with relaxed performances, I think there's been a wave of further understanding, right, of theater not always having to be this perfect cut of a production. It's like, nah, theater is a storytelling, it's an interaction with the audience in that way. I'm excited. Oh my God, stop by. Relaxed performance. Listen. I sometimes go to relaxed performance myself because I have very sound sensitivity. And so sometimes I'm like, this is what I'm talking about right here. And I also have a goddaughter who has sensory kind of explorations that she's trying to figure out, right, at 4 years old. And so sometimes when I'm like, let's take her to a show, her mom's like, no. It's like she doesn't like too loud. I'm like, well, we got to take her someplace so that she can have that experience. She still has a right to be in space and not have to sit down, right? And to be a part of it. I also was a kid who grew up with African storytelling, to which it was like, I'm going to sit right next to the drum if I want to, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to be right here next to a storyteller, like, what you saying? But I'm really excited because that's a skill in y'all back pocket to have, because there are actors who don't do relaxed performances, who are comfortable in some ways with relaxed performances. I'm like, but if you can do relaxed performances, you can do theater outdoors, right? You can do theater that is directly accessible to special needs students, right, in schools, and be able to write for theater that way. Because sometimes that's the next shift, is how we write theater that is already relaxed in performance, right? I'm also eyeing a corner of my eye of respect for the actor, because I love me some Uda. I love me some Uda. But let's talk about Eastern University. Listen, y'all out here, okay? But I always found, being a student at Temple, we were just a Broad Street line away from downtown, and sometimes talking to Greater Philadelphia like students of theater, they're like, but I have to organize a trip. Somebody got to drive me, or I got to pay for a $20 to $30 Uber to get down there, right? What are some of your observations of Philly theater so far, right, that you are excited about, right? But also you're like, I don't know where I fit in that makeup. Yeah. That's all. I told you it's coming to general questions, deep questions, but.
Yeah, I think the just exploring new spaces can be scary in any situation, especially in the theater world. As a theater artist, I think sometimes you feel a little bit weird sometimes going to shows, especially alone, when it's like, I'm not an average audience member and I'm coming in here, and most other people here probably know someone in the show, especially smaller venues of performances, where it can feel strange going into a performance and not, being directly connected or working, especially that too. This is your job, and now you're coming in and you don't have that, but you still kind of feel, I'm in a theater, I could just sit down and relax. So that's sometimes difficult.
Yeah. In proximity, like you're like, you're not a Temple student or a Drexel, or like you can be like, let me zip over, to be at the Wilma. You're like, no, I got to trek. You know what I'm saying? And so the accessibility for y'all is very, also a subject that comes up of like, how do y'all experience going to see theater in Philly? Or is it like, listen, my Philly is going to Hedgerow. My Philly is going, the Patch Theater in New Jersey real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of Greater Philadelphia artists are like, it's not all just happening in Center City, in Philly. It's happening all around Philly. So there are some theaters that you like going to, even now as students, where you're like, I'm gonna just go right over here because I can't go to City.
So I personally I don't go out and see a lot of theater because I don't get a lot of buzz on my feed. But one of the nice perks that Dr. Flower does a lot is she sends us a lot of information about shows happening locally and even in the city of Philadelphia. And that allows us to have that opportunity to go see new work and new theater, and I'm very grateful to even have that aspect, because even coming from a family where it's I'm the only actor in my family and the first person in my college, so it's challenging to be that person to go out and see new work, but it's very, very good to have that person to bring that training and allow us to go out and see new theater. That doesn't really answer the question, but
it does.
Yeah, but
it does. It's like you're answering the question of, is theater accessible? Yeah. One, but also the knowing of what's happening.
Right.
I'm doing a plug. Theater Philadelphia has a weekly newsletter. Did you know that? It's a weekly newsletter that outlines all the shows that are happening in the Greater Philadelphia area. And you subscribe to it on our website along with the job board if you're looking for a job. I would do that, But you can subscribe to this weekly newsletter. But it's also, you're talking about resources, right? Yeah. It's important for y'all. If you didn't have Valerie being like, hey, here's all these resources, go out, see some shows, right? Then where would you be in that notion, that lineup? And I think that is something that we have to expand the conversation about. Is access to knowledge, right? Knowledge is not just, reading and studying plays and theater. It's how do I fit in the ecosystem of theater, That's cool. Yeah. My camera just died. I'll pause it. All right, y'all. So my final question is going to be centered around, where do you see yourself as an artist matriculating or transitioning into the Philly theater scene, right? And 5 or 10 years from now, what does that look like for you? Does it look like you being an educator? Does it look like you being an art administrator? Does it look like you being the go-to person in casting, right? What does that look like for you? Any hopes, any dreams, nightmares? Shout out to McMill.
As someone who isn't predominantly studying theater,
Mm-hmm.
I still would like to contribute to that community. I actually have cystic fibrosis, which is a chronic lung condition. And recently we did like a 10-minute theater play where playwriters got together for a week, and we each got to write and then perform our 10-minute shows. And I chose to use my CF to create a story that ended up touching a lot of people, and it made me realize that I could give a voice to people that may refrain from going out and doing things like theater because of a physical condition or because of limitations that doctors or professors or people will just growing up telling you, like, you know, it's better to stay on the side and do stage crew or do something that you're more fit or capable to do. When in reality, the thing that I feel like makes me the strongest version of myself is proving those people wrong and going out and doing the thing and making sure I give a voice to those people who might have also grown up the same way.
I love that. I love that. That's the core I'm talking about in the farm that you're planning for yourself. Knowing that core, right? Why you do the work you do.
Exactly.
And that medical arts and humanities group exists in Philly. They just did a beautiful show about patients and caregivers. I think it was it a Signature? I'm not sure which one. I think it was Signature.
Yeah.
But yeah, that group is there in Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see there's a lot of actors who do patient study
Work.
work. And I have a friend, Brooke, who is actually right now writing a piece about that patient work, right?
Yeah.
And helping train new doctors and how
Yeah.
that's a part of acting.
Yeah.
to have on the
No, it
side,
is.
Right? I love that. I love that. Any other thoughts about your future? You know?
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot.
Not you graduate, you like, oh, I gotta do
I've
something.
been doing my time on the Theater Philadelphia job board. But yeah, I just want to like be fully entrenched in that. Like, I almost feel like community isn't the right word when you're talking about theater, because it's like, it sounds cliche, but it's the family aspect of like, that I've worked a lot of jobs in other fields where you're at different levels, even if you're higher up, you don't really have a lot of camaraderie with the people you work with. And so with the theater, even jobs, I'm over at Hedgerow, I'm getting there early, I'm cleaning the toilets, I'm wiping the counters, I'm getting ready to open up. I'm not anywhere close to the creative process there, but it's that feeling of everyone there, you know their name, you know the actor's name, you know the stage manager's name, they come and talk to you, you're all a part of that creative process. And I think in Philly especially, it's so, you could be, you know, if you're in that scene, you know so many people. You know, every Friday night, there'll never be a time when it's like, I don't know someone that's on a show, someone that's ASMing a show, someone that's leading something that I can go to, that's just constant support. And, you know, you give and take that. And it's so encouraging. I just want to be a part of that fully.
Yeah, and you will in your own way, which I love. How a new generation graduates and comes in and brings their own spice to it, their own dice to it. They're like, listen, this is how we do it, right? But also, you know, for me, when I reflect on that, I reflect on how, looking back when I did my first apprenticeship at Theater Horizon, CJ Higgins, who is now our director of operations at Theater Philadelphia, CJ was my boss at Theater Horizon when I came. CJ was running the box office, okay? Still does. 'Cause y'all get emails from CJ about, you know, ticket sales. But to that full circle moment, CJ was like, that's what it's about. It's about watching community step into the roles later on and being like, I'm rooting for you in this way. And so I'm excited to see. Be like, oh my God. I know. Is that a year with Frog and Toad on stage? I love it. Right? Shout you out. Wear that same shirt that you got on there. Yeah. Any other observation? Any hopes and things?
I think, like, even in terms of me, like, I'm already like a theater artist, and even realizing that I have a voice, but like 5 or 10 years from now, like defining my voice and really knowing like the message that I want to get out there, like still creating new work, but also being more like inclusive and including diversity and like culture in my background and like just previous works that I've done. So just like having a more defined voice in the theater industry would be like very powerful and impactful to not only like from where I came from, but to where I'm going as well. So
I love that. From girl from East Baltimore, I understand. So I'm like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah. Especially me, I was only actor in my family when I first came, and I was like, y'all can come see a show. Come on. They're always excited to do. Any other? I'm sitting there, I'm looking at Amarie back there. Amarie just be sitting cool and calm.
I kind of want to branch off into different areas when it comes to theater. Like, I not just want to pursue acting, but also at one point I'm like, do I want to become an educator? Do I want to teach? Because I love being a mentor for not just like students the same age, but like also like younger kids.
Yeah.
And I just branching out into that, also continuing like playwriting and pursuing directing. You know, I recently written a play that was put on this September that was telling my story, but also telling my story, but also like just having that message of, yes, this happened, but also like I want you guys to also connect with that in a sense. Like, what do you take from that? Mm-hmm. And yes, it's okay to leave the theater crying and leave the theater feeling something, because that is theater overall. Mm-hmm. So I just want to have that connectivity with the audience, but also like being able to have connections and like be able to not just go this one path, but also like, no, I can do that. I can put on this hat. I can be wherever you need me to be. So.
Yeah. I can't wait. Listen, you at the playpen. Remember this conversation, okay? Okay, share it, you know, wherever you find it years from now. And I think that's the important part, is like maintaining the multi-hyphenate. Do not limit yourself in your exploration of your career, right? Richie, don't look like that.
What am I looking
at? Like, listen. What's your hopes?
I mean, similar to what Ethan said, just kind of to be involved in any aspect that they'll have me. The dream, and the reason I kind of went into music composition, is to be able to write for theater and just to be able to kind of explore the humanity of people and just put that on stage and let people. Yeah, I don't know.
You should check out Musical Lab, who's also part of Philly Theater Week.
Okay.
Musical Lab is a collection that helps music composition and like people who want to write for musicals as well. Mm-hmm. Really like workshop the musicals. They're going to be at the Raise Your Voice on March 31st as well. And really a great kind of group of people who are like, hey, and it's, you can, register. There you do. You register, you say, I got a play. Like a musical or something, you're going to workshop. I just was recommending somebody to Musical Lab, but yeah, cool. Check them out.
I will.
Thank you. Listen, I got some things. I'm excited for this future we got going on here. So I want to say thank you, one, for being willing to talk to me about your own personal journeys as artists. I remember if someone asked me, I told y'all, somebody asked me when I was in Temple, I'd been like, huh? Talking to me? That's what happened? No, I probably would say, I'd probably like, get it together, Sabria. Tell them what you need to tell them, right? But also, it's very beautiful to see the next generation of theater in Philly, right? Where you're starting, right? And not even where you're starting, because you've already started, right? Where you're at this point in your journey. So that years later, right, this is something that you can look back on and say, hey, I remember that kid, right, who was about to graduate. And it's like, okay, what we doing here, right? And I think it's important, as far as Philly Theater Week, that we highlight that, So I thank y'all for being here to talk with me. We're going to sign off now, y'all. Shout out to the Eastern University Theater Department and A Year with a Frog, not with a frog. Sabria, A Year with Frog and Toad. That's the correct one. I did teach literacy, y'all, for a good 3.5 years. But you can check them out as a part of Philly Theater Week, running April 4th through the 6th, a relaxed performance on April 6th, matinee. And also, make sure to get your Pay What You Can tickets if they're available. They're going fast, right? But support college theater as well across the board, especially in Philly. We have such great theater departments to check out, and these artists are doing their thing. Hopefully, they'll have a showcase that I can invite y'all to later on to support them in their transition into the Philadelphia theater scene. Thank you. This has been the Philadelphia Theater Week podcast series. Much love. Bye.